Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Master Me podcast, where it's a personal and professional development podcast. I've learned a lot of things in my life, and this is an opportunity to share what I've learned and also bring people to you. The goal is not for me to pretend or act like I know everything, but more of to be the bridge to maybe somebody who's experienced something in life. And if that resonates with you and you can find value in it, that is where the magic happens. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Aaron Wilson with me today, a repeat. Believe it or not, we've been on a podcast together, and it was this was like maybe 6 to 8 years ago, and it was so impactful then that I get to tell people all the time that, hey, I had Aaron Wilson on my podcast. And it's one of those things that brings my chest a little tightness. We'll get through it right now in a minute, but it's exciting to be around his energy because this guy is a seasoned vet in more ways than one. And the way that he brings himself to the table, his presence, cool, calm, and collective, whatever's going on the inside, he presents it a completely different way. So being able to share time with him and learn from him, I am a complete sponge. So that is my goal today, is just to have a conversation as if I was talking to him without the lights, without the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Wilson.
Well, thank you.
What's up,
That was
man?
pretty generous there. My
It's from the
gosh.
heart, man. I try to
Well,
stay
thank you.
authentic.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, good. It's great being here today.
Absolutely, absolutely. So how have you been, man? It has been some time.
Man, it has. A lot of things have changed. A lot of things that kind of, turn a new leaf on different things in
Yeah,
life and in business or
that's exciting.
yeah.
What have you learned that is important to you right now?
Oh gosh, um, family is one thing.
Okay.
However, if I can break that down a little bit, uh, understanding that one thing is guaranteed: we're all not going to make it out of here alive.
100%.
And when we can actually spend time together.
Right.
I had the opportunity to have my grandkids live right next door
Right.
for quite a few
Wow.
years, and and they ended up. My son-in-law took a job down in Florida,
Okay.
and he took a job down there as an ER nurse. Very proud of him. Very proud. And my daughter followed, obviously, being married.
Right.
And so the kiddos went down there. So I was
Right.
like, oh my gosh, what's happening here?
Right.
Um, and best thing in the world. Best thing in the world for them, for us. So we go down there quite often.
Right.
But it's spending that time, with them and my other granddaughter's here right now,
Okay.
and my daughter's here. So just being able to spend time with them is fantastic.
I think that's what a blessing to understand the concept of
Mhm.
being present in this moment right now. And I think that that is one of the most valuable things to understand and pay attention to while we're doing it, because our minds can wander and we can race towards the future and the past and other things and forget about what's important. And I think that when we get to a certain age, and I don't know that because we're not there yet, but I could imagine looking back and knowing if I was present enough for the people around me.
You know, I'm glad you said that. Being present in the moment. I think the way our lives are, and I'm just going to say culturally as
Mhm,
Americans, everything is so hectic. Everything's fast,
mhm,
instant demand. Got to do everything, right now. And you can do that. You can do that in a work environment, and then you can lift your head up one day and go, "Oh my gosh, what did I miss?"
right,
And I think I applaud you for that
right,
because we're just sitting there talking about a little bit about age, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, man, he's 20 years younger than me. That's a whole
right,
generation." So I applaud you for catching it now and not when it's too late.
right.
So
It's not an easy
yeah,
thing to do because I'm still actively in my Formula One racing car,
hmm,
driving forward,
yeah,
full speed ahead all day, and then also knowing that it's the definition of when they say stop and smell the roses. Like, I'm in the
yeah.
moment for 20 minutes right now, and this is going to be a moment where I'm intentional and I'm present. And the same has to be for when I walk home, when I get home to my kids, and I'm about to walk into the door. I'm here now.
Yeah.
Like,
And
this is it.
I'm glad you said intentional as well, because I think we have to sometimes force that
Mm-hmm.
in the environment that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with calendaring it.
Right.
And the more you do it, the more it becomes a habit.
Right.
And, we've all been guilty of it,
Right.
where we're going so fast to where you know,
Right.
we go to bed at night and, didn't say things to our loved ones
Right.
sometimes. And it's just like, man, what's going on here?
Right.
So you start to question that. But ultimately, I think catching it is the big thing
Right.
and correcting it and going,
That
that's,
that is
yeah.
a double. That is
Yeah,
like a good way to put it. Catch it and correct it. Like, if you
yeah,
can hold on to that slogan,
mhm,
even as like, all right, I caught it. Now how do I correct it? And then go collect it.
Yeah.
And I say collect it because now you have to go build evidence that you can catch it on the spot and then do something different
Hmm.
because it's that am I in the computer at 8 o'clock? My wife's walking through the hallway. Like I get a moment to hear about her day or something, or I can keep my head straight and look at the computer.
Yeah.
And that's the like, all right, catch it and then go do something different. If I get up, go here for 5 minutes, I might fill her bucket
And I think we're I'm going to say the majority of people are guilty of this.
for
I
sure.
mean, everybody. Well, I
Yeah.
shouldn't say everybody. The majority of people, including myself. Phones are one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Huge distraction, taking away from the
Right.
moment, and we get caught into the digital world because
Right.
there's a lot of entertainment that's
Right.
there, and I think it sets the presence that that's more important than the real person that's with you in that
Right.
moment. And it is kind of depressing to sit in an environment sometimes. Airports are famous for
Right.
this. You walk in an airport now and bingo, everybody's down.
Right. Kids and all.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's insane. And then if you travel overseas somewhere, depending on where you go, it hasn't really caught there yet.
Right.
Don't Not saying it's going to get there, but it's just like man, oh man, how did we get to this world? So it is a little depressing to kind of see that happen. And of course, social media is fantastic for the addiction to kind of keep you in that world.
It's a weird drug.
Yeah, 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 it is.
I think
It is.
that's exactly what it
Yeah.
is. And I know it has you almost have to play in like they said Jesus sat with sinners, like you gotta go play out there and be present, but also be the light of whatever it is that you're trying to put out.
Yeah, and you're right, and I think that's the thing is, once you play a little bit, guess what? Now it just pulls you in more.
That's the hard part
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
I mean you are walking on a line and the goal is how do I put out but then not get consumed in because what is a sad notification to see on your phone is when you see how many hours you spent per day
Mhm.
on social media. It's like, what? 4 hours? Like four of and like in my mind I think I'm working. But there was 4 hours dedicated to looking at my phone somehow, some way,
Yeah,
being locked into that.
and there may be something that's productive, don't get
Right,
me wrong, and I think we try to justify it as that,
right.
though, and
100%.
then but you know what? You're watching cat videos and all kinds of silly stuff, and
It
that's like,
would be interesting to be on
yeah.
a like the Truman Show type of vibe and like what if the camera was in the corner and you just watched all the weird things you did all day?
Oh,
Like
boy, oh boy.
when you're on autopilot, right?
I
There's
think
some motions
yes,
where
you're right. Yeah.
that what would that be like? Of like, can you live with that person? It is a hard thing, and
Yeah,
I get it. We're all
yeah,
human, but at the same time, I think what we're talking about is being aware, trying to catch it, and then make a different
yeah,
decision when it
being
comes.
purposeful with it,
Yeah,
with your time, because we only have that little limited time here
right,
on Earth.
right,
Let's just all agree on that.
100%. I think it when we're younger, we feel like it's a lot, but then there's a certain point where it clicks that we're halfway done, or we're more than halfway done, and what are we gonna do with it?
Yeah, well, you just said it there too. Like my granddaughter, she's 3.5. She's not three. She's 3.5.
Right.
And I don't know what age it is, but we get to a point to where we stop counting age, and then yes, I'm in my 50s now. I'm not
Right.
50. I'm not 57 and a half.
Right.
But I think we start to look at things a little bit differently, and I think we start to appreciate the time that we have had on the earth.
Right.
But we also start to look at potentially how much time do we have left.
Right.
And so we take things a little bit more serious the older that we get.
Yeah, I think right now for me is understanding that I've went through a lot of staircases in my life to get to where I'm at right now
Mhm.
and where I'm trying to be at on a day to day is like what am I going to do with having all of that? How can I use it for me to build for either A being here now but then B something forward that's
Mm.
impactful? Like what else can I leave to help another person? Like how not only the legacy for my kids but what's going to impact another man
Yeah,
in a positive way.
yeah. I think that's a common struggle.
Yeah.
That is.
That is it, and it's just something that I take attempts at, and who knows if they mean anything or not, but they do to me as in I'm gonna have to look back in the mirror one day, or I'm gonna get my last 2 minutes to breathe, and Doc's gonna say, "What are you gonna do with it?"
Yeah,
And if I can reflect and be okay that I used my time the way that I wanted to,
yeah. And I think it's also if you do reflect back on to that, if we had the luxury
right?
of hey, 15 minutes, who you're surrounded with at that time.
Yeah,
That's what matters.
you're right.
That really does. Who showed up? Not only that, but what are they saying about you?
Mm,
Because I think what they say about you is how you have impacted them or not. And I think if we just kind of understand that, well, oh, here's what I want. I want, like, I showed up for them.
Right.
I showed up for 'em. I was there when they, not only they needed it, but unexpectedly as well. They knew that there was a safety net with me there. I mean, that brings me joy, and hopefully that brings them joy as well.
It's such a touchy topic, I think, because the idea of that seems 100% accurate into the way of like my kids and their kids one day. And like, it feels like that's the most important umbrella. But then there's people that start being part of your bloodline that maybe you didn't show up for or something like that. And
Yeah,
at the same time, like without having guilt or any kind of resentfulness that you weren't there, like holding the like responsibility that I made the choice to focus on the select people that I did with
yeah.
my time.
And I think I kind of relate it like a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you can have certain characters in the book on the first 4 chapters, and next thing you know, they fade off and
Right.
they don't show up again, and others will show up later in life too. Um,
Such a good way to put it.
so I look at it as,
That was neat.
we have to understand that there's a time and a place, there's an era, there's a season, and I think that transitioning into a season is tough
Right.
because it's the unknown, and I think we've all been, or I know that you've been through different seasons as
Right.
well, even from school to,
Right. Right.
occupation to, professional development.
Right.
Um, and we're just a different person at that time.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's almost like being okay. And I think that's the name of the game. It's just finding a way to be okay with who you are right now
Yep.
and being okay with that you want to become better too in the
Hmm.
process. So like I'm perfect as I am and as I am becoming. So still accepting me for me, but then also wanting to grow, wanting to get better.
And I think you're right there. I think if I can just get 1% better per day,
Uh huh.
just 1%. It's not much, just a little bit better. I strive for that.
Yeah.
I do. I know I'm not perfect. I will never be perfect. Um, but I do try. You know.
That is the effort
Mm.
that matters. That is gosh, I think like and that's why our energy is attracted to each other. I will say that. And it is because they game recognize game when it comes to
Yeah.
that. Like I think there's an understanding that we're in the trenches together at whatever stage or how long. Like I don't think it's a competition or a race. I think it's like if I look up in my journey and I see you and you're still standing, like I'm gonna be like, salute to
I
you.
I I'm with you on that. I don't look at people as competition.
Right,
Everybody's going through their own struggles,
right,
and but we're all in this together.
right,
You know, we just have just different cultural
right.
differences or beliefs or whatever it may be. But I truly believe there's nobody that's wanting to cause harm. You
So
know,
interesting to think
yeah.
about it that way. Because like if you look down and you see an ant hill here and an ant hill there, like to us, you're ants.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
to them, like they're black ants, they're red ants,
Yeah,
they care about this, they care about that. They dig their holes this way. They carry only pick up this kind of food. Like who knows what it is, but they're living in their whole
yeah,
world down there. But at the end of the day, like if water comes and flushes you guys all out, like it's all the same. Like you're so seeing that we're all human and we're in this together is important. I mean, how
yeah.
else do you resonate with somebody? Is that what well we both have blood, both have a heartbeat, we both have opportunity on the table. So
I was actually talking to somebody yesterday. It was actually on a podcast as well.
right,
We were talking about diversity in the military. It's like um, heck, we had individuals that were from the East Coast, West Coast, New York, and Texas. They spoke differently, they looked differently, different skin color. But you know what? We all got along
right,
because there was one mission.
right,
And I think if we could collectively, as a cultural race,
right,
or just culture in general,
right,
what's the main thing?
right,
And I think we overcomplicate it the
right,
younger that we are. One of the things that I noticed was I used to do a lot of stuff with World War II vets.
okay,
So, and at the time they were in their late 80s, early 90s
right,
predominantly, and everything was just very simple.
right,
I remember asking one of the guys, I go, "Hey, so what's life about? This, that, the other." And he goes, and it was real quick. He goes, "It's love."
right,
And I'm like, "Hmm." He goes, "But you can ask anybody else that's younger. They're going to give you this long explanation, 2, 3 chapters on what life is about,
right,
because they just haven't figured it out yet." I'm like, "Hmm, that's pretty interesting." So I kind of hit the fast forward button on learning through a lot of these individuals that had a ton a ton of wisdom, behind them, but it's great to learn from somebody that's been through some of the
Right.
stuff.
And I think people really don't have a like definition that they stand on for the meaning of love.
Mm,
And like I was trying to break this down the other day. I was writing it down in a notebook and I had it in an acronym and I wrote down love and then I wrote underneath it and I put letting go of vindictive emotions. And for me, like if I can get out of my head of creating a fight or a problem, then how easy it is to get on that person's team. Of course, honey.
yeah.
Will you do this? Of course, honey. But if not, if I find something to be mad about and fight, then I'm creating separation, which is the opposite.
And some are going to hold their ground,
Right.
and I respect that though.
Right.
I do. However, I also there's a time to let go too,
Right.
and I like that acronym though. The
It
acronym,
just came. You
yeah,
talked about it.
that's
That's what's going on in
interesting.
my
Yeah,
book, and I don't
yeah,
even know what it means. I was just trying to put something together so
yeah.
that way I could release what I was holding on to in the moment because I knew it wasn't serving me, and I get the answers. Like, but then
Hmm.
my brain was also saying, "Well, how? Like, what are you gonna do?" So then I started.
Yep.
I started trying to figure out the how.
Well, if we're all the same, it's boring.
Right.
That's why we have to have differences,
Right.
And I look at that, and there was a class that I really kind of catered to. It was basically a personality class, a
Right.
disc,
Right. Yep.
and it's really unique to think about it. I'm a high D,
I'm high D. High.
high D,
Yep.
yep, DI,
Yep.
and they were talking about in order to kind of make yourself better is learn the opposite
Yep.
one, the one that bothers you,
Yep.
the one that's really, that kind of gets on your nerves
Mm-hmm.
maybe. But once you can learn from them and understand how they tick, they'll learn from you on how you,
Right.
operate as well. And it only makes you better because of the other two,
Right.
besides the I and the
Right.
C. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. And I believe that's so true.
Right.
It's so true because we need everybody to be different in this
Right.
world with their
Right.
strengths and with their
Because it's
weaknesses.
just
Yeah.
it's different. Like if
Yeah.
there's four, the way that's broken out, like four different quadrants, like it all makes the complete. It all
Yeah.
work together. So you need everybody's
And
thing.
nobody's dead center.
Right.
Nobody's
No.
equal in all.
No.
Just that's the beautiful thing.
Right. And the goal is like to try to get
Yeah.
towards the middle as much as you can in different
But we're
areas.
uncomfortable
It
trying
is.
to communicate with that other, individual or that side
And
that
there's
we're not.
always, for me, there's always some kind of story that makes it uncomfortable. Like maybe you had somebody that in your life that was that before this happened,
Hmm.
and then now you look at that trait as those types of people,
Yeah.
and we're put them in that bucket.
Yeah. And
So
see, and that's not fair, is it?
right,
Yeah.
no, because that
Yeah.
person's a whole different
Yeah.
person, but because they're a supportive type person, you see them as weak or you see them as this, and you're automatically communicating condescending or whatever it is. Like you're pouring off your traits
Yeah.
to them.
I
That's a
just
tough one.
look at just be good people.
Yeah.
If you're just good people, things work out. And we've all been, I think if we're honest with ourselves, we've all had situations to where maybe we weren't the best person at the
Okay.
time, but if we can learn from that, that's fantastic. If we don't learn from that, then we're making the same mistake.
It's like when you're
Yeah.
talking to the kids and you're like, you can do a bad thing doesn't make you a bad person.
Hmm. Well, I'll tell you what, having grandkids gives you the opportunity to really see it through a different lens, and watching, you'll be there one day.
Oh,
Trust me,
I
you
have three
will.
girls, bro.
Oh
It's a
my
fact.
gosh.
I'm gonna die. I'm
I'm
also
so
gonna have
sorry. You
like
got some stress that's coming up. But no, when you're able to watch your kids have kids, it sets a new presence.
mm,
It sets a new outlook, at least for me, and I'm like, I get so much joy knowing that they're a part of life, kind of what you went through,
right,
even though the mistakes that you made in parenting, because I don't think that maybe you did. I
yeah,
didn't. I never got the book on how to be the best parent
yeah,
ever. So you're trying to wing it, with life going on and all the stressors and all that. A lot of worry. Oh my
right,
gosh, and the reason I say I'm sorry is
right,
because with three girls, and when they're teenage age and
right.
you're sitting there like, and you can't
It
sleep, or
feels
you're
like
trying to
yeah,
sleep and they're out,
right.
with their friends, you're like, you're worried about everything else.
Because I
You're not
know
really
how
worried
I
about
was.
them.
What was
Yeah.
going on in my mind? And
Yeah, yeah,
you're hanging out
yeah,
with who? Charlie's there.
yeah,
Like
and
what?
then you remember what you were doing, you're like, "Oh
Yep.
my gosh, I can't
Yep.
go there because
Yep.
this is horrible."
100%.
Yeah, so
How to
I
keep the
I
mind clean. Find
mm,
a system to be okay.
yeah,
Release. Trust. Like That's probably a big factor too. It's just
Oh,
you're
trust is the
trusting.
big one.
Yeah.
Trust is a big one, and I think that's the thing that I'm, I'm going to say that a lot of people lack is that trust.
Right.
Because and I get it. There's biases that
Right.
they've had things happen to them or
Right.
whatnot, and I've always got the philosophy. And not, I've always had this, and it
Right.
may be a weakness, but there's no reason for me not to trust somebody until they give me a reason
Right.
not to trust them, and I've gotten to a point in life where I don't get angry at them. I just, okay, one day maybe hopefully they'll figure it out, or we will figure it out, but yeah.
I try to hold it recently in this context of you got to trust a snake to be a snake, and I don't mean a snake
Mhm.
in a negative way because a lot of times when you hear like people will think bad, but it's more of their nature. And if you see a person for who they are and how they operate, you got to trust that you're going to get the result that you got before.
Yeah.
And if you walk into the snake pit and you get bit, like you can't be mad at them. Why fight with them? Like
Yeah.
I pushed my, I was in the snake pit. I walked
We
through it.
yeah, would you say walk away?
I walked
Yeah.
through it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was just saying, it's something you
If
can
you
walk away
choose to
too.
walk through it,
Yeah,
or you make a choice
yeah,
of like, yeah,
yeah.
that's not my thing.
Because I don't think it's not my right to change them.
Right.
I can change myself, or I can take myself out of that
Right.
equation now,
That's the lighthouse effect though too.
Yeah.
Is you're not out there trying to be a tugboat, change everybody,
Mhm.
especially when they're
Oh, yeah.
fixated and stuck on the way because they've got all the good stories and the evidence to be the person that they are. Like it serves them, otherwise they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And same goes for us. Like we have built this person with whatever armor or shield we have to protect us based off of what we've been through.
And to think that we don't have biases is kinda I think that's incorrect. We all do.
Right.
So we're gonna go with what we know historically.
Right. And it is just
Mhm.
it is how our mind um is is protecting itself. Like there was a time where when we didn't, when we were babies and we would just stick our foot in our mouth, right? Like we were just
Oh, I
living.
still do
Yeah,
that.
right.
I still do that. Yeah.
You're just living, freaking doing whatever. And
Yeah.
now we we've set up our life a certain way to protect ourselves, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. And it's okay. I think it's more of just going back to being aware. Like I don't
Yeah.
think that stopping or you say don't do that, like those things they're hard to do. I think it's more of catching and correcting. Like I think
Mhm.
that's got to be the ongoing for this one is like catching and correcting.
Yeah.
And the more that we can just see how we're being, then we can make a new choice
Yeah.
if it's serving or not serving. And some of the things we're going to do is going to be great and it's going to serve us, and some of the things we're going to continue to correct along the way.
Yep.
The course correct. It's that self cleaning oven effect. Like you got to go out there and cook and produce, but you also got to be able to clean yourself. So take that time
Yeah.
to do that. What do you do to for you right now?
Uh, well, in regards to what now? So I
How
can.
do you be the self cleaning oven for yourself? Like what
Oh
do you have
gosh.
any like
Yes, I
routines? Do you
do.
have
I
okay,
do.
let's talk about them.
My yeah. So my morning routine is pretty insane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm gonna say, with the exception of this morning, a little bit different.
Right,
I had a meeting before this as
right,
well, and usually I don't have any meetings until
right,
about this time
right,
frame, if I have meetings.
right,
But I've learned to understand to take care of myself a little bit better,
right.
both physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a fitness buff,
Right,
always have, but I neglected the mental side of things.
right,
So my morning kind of starts off with, usually I'm up about 5:30. I'm retired,
right,
so why in the hell are you up at 5:30?
right,
But I'll get up about 5:30, and I'll go in and I'll put out all the fires. I'll look at email real quick and text, make sure there's nothing there that
right, right, right,
not that I can do anything about it
right,
anyhow, but and then I'll start sauna. I'll start to work out. I do band work. I do
right.
universal system there, or if I'm going to cycle that day, I usually cycle every third day,
Okay,
and it's actually been prescribed to me.
right,
My bike, because my bike is a little bit more of a mental outlet and physical.
right,
So I will do that every third day at a minimum. Other If I don't, then I start to feel that. And then the other days I'll do that, jump in the sauna. It's a little bit more of a I didn't know what meditation was. I
right,
don't even know if I still know what it is.
right.
But it's more of a concept to kind of clear your mind.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Sometimes breath work. I do a cold plunge.
Okay.
I have a cold plunge at the house, and that was probably my best investment.
Right,
That cold plunge literally will reset the mind.
right,
You're not thinking of anything but getting out of that water. I do about for about 5.5 minutes. Um, and once I'm out of that, then that's literally when my day will
Right.
start. You know, from I'm going to say productive work
Right.
or things I need to do, and then yeah, and so that's going to be about 9:30, 10 o'clock now. Where before I'd be at the office at 7.
Right.
You know, so if I had to do that, it would be getting up at 2, 3, and that just wasn't conducive.
Right.
Just didn't have the time. And understanding how sleep works a little bit better now, you know,
Right.
and try and get that sleep in. My wife struggles with sleeping. You know,
Right.
she'll wake up and just can't go back to sleep.
Right.
You know, and um, trying to help her out with that. I don't know how to help her out with that, but I think there's a lot of going on in her mind too.
Right.
You know, to where it just doesn't slow down.
Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of a little bit of the daily routine when it comes
Right.
to that. And
It is
red
that.
light therapy is another one. You know, but yeah, and the older you get, the more ailments you start to get. So you got to nurture those ailments, and then you know, acupuncture, massage therapy, chiropractic
Right.
work. You know, it's like, man, my body's falling apart, dude. It's like, well, you know,
You know, it was weird. I
and
did
that's
this
it.
exercise one day, and it was like, if this was your last day, like, how would you do it? And like,
Mm,
the morning routine was still in it, whether
yeah,
I liked it or not. Like, I found a way to enjoy the morning routine,
yeah,
whether it seems like it's early and I could do other things. Like, I've
yeah.
just learned to fall in love with like doing that, so that way it's part of my. When I'm
Well,
off, I feel it, I know it, and
yeah,
I know that that's the way back on track.
yeah. I mean, I think it's like it's a habit. Once it
Right.
becomes a habit,
Right.
you don't think about it
Right.
anymore. And thankfully, that's kind of where I'm at now
Right.
with that. I don't have you know agendas to meet
Right.
in the morning
Right.
anymore. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Um,
I'm glad that you've got some sort of morning routine
I am
too,
just
man.
I
It's
am a
it's
sponge
interesting.
man,
And I
and
think 10 years ago, I'd be like, "What are you talking about?
yeah,
Morning routine? Pfft,
no,
you know, get to work." You know, yeah,
yeah, mine is I am still part in the race, and
yeah.
so I'm up at 4,
Hmm.
in the morning, getting after it
What time do you go
because
to bed? Yeah,
um 8, 9. I mean, to be honest, my kids go to bed. If there's not an urgent like prequel or something I need to
hmm.
get done that night, then
Got it.
I'm going to bed by 9, 10
Yeah,
o'clock the
I know,
latest.
dude. If it's past 9 o'clock, I'm starting to fade.
Right. And
Yeah.
sometimes my wife will want to talk through her day, and
Mm,
those are sacrifices for me. Like, I
hmm.
know that
Good on you.
I have to pour back into her, because
Yeah.
if not, she'll build up. And if she builds up, like, it actually impacts my mind to where it starts to race, and I have to like
Mm,
control it again, because then I'm
yeah.
trying to help and be a I'm trying to solve the
Yeah.
problem, and some of the things I can't solve the problem, but what could have helped is just listening.
Interesting. So uh, I have moral trauma,
Mhm.
PTSD. It's a form of PTSD there, and that right there is what that keeps me up sometimes,
Mhm.
and understanding how to manage that a little bit. You know,
Mhm.
got to be the fixer. Got to do everything. Got to
Right.
make sure nothing happens here, and anytime that's in violation, kind of will increase in anxiety because I
Right.
didn't know what the heck anxiety was.
Right.
I just never did. You
Right.
know, and then it was like, oh, okay. Because I started noticing some of the things that just are not conducive to me. I started isolating a little bit
Yeah.
here. And I'm like, man, that's not right. You know, it's not fair to my family and whatnot. So as soon as I started to identify that stuff, I was like, all right, something's different here. So that, and again, cold plunge helps out with that for
Right.
me. You
Right.
know, it's like, you're not thinking of anything.
Right.
So, but
It's those like environmental hacks
yeah. Oh, yeah,
definitely help you,
exactly.
right? Put yourself
Yeah.
in a whole different place,
Hmm.
take you out of that. That's interesting how that works. Tell me about the time that you spoke with your father in a setting like this.
Yeah. We were just talking about that. So there was a guy. Well, he's still there. Brendan Burchard.
Mhm.
He had mentioned something in a podcast or a skit somewhere, talking about how his father was in the hospital,
Mhm.
terminal and about to pass, and he said I ended up kind of interviewing him, and I had like this bunch of questions, and he interviewed him, and he goes, and that was the best thing in the world,
Mm.
not only for me but for future generations, and then also I think it was an honor for
Mm.
his dad. I'm like, man, I love that. I love that. And I think with the technology we have today, such as podcasts,
Right.
Audible slash video,
Right.
why wouldn't we do it?
Right.
For a loved one.
Right.
It's kind of a legacy piece. So I did. This was a couple years back, and it reminds me, and I say thank you to that, to probably update it
Right.
a little bit. But I had a laundry list of questions. I sat with my dad, and I was like, hey, um, talk to me about your childhood. Where you grew up in, Half Fort, Kentucky. You know, and so that and he would kind of giggle. You could tell he was kind of going back in time, thinking about it, and he was telling his story, and it really wasn't for me at the time, but I kept thinking one day the grandkids are gonna ask, hey, what? Talk to me about Grandpa Doug, and this is an opportunity for you click, you hit play. He's able to tell the story instead of me trying to decipher what his intent was.
Mm,
And we had a ton of different questions, and I'll get to one that's a little sensitive here, but like, hey, talk to me about my mom.
mm,
How did you guys meet? And and then we just kept going down the road. Talk to me about my brother. Talk to me about you know, what were your thoughts on having a grandkid? And then he's like, oh my gosh, never thought I'd ever see that. And great grandkids. So it just kind of dominoes. And but he was a Vietnam vet.
right.
He was a combat medic, and I kind of approached something that was very sensitive. And I asked him, I said, so when you joined, the military, the army, we kind of went through that, and he was just totally fine going all the way up. And as soon as he started talking about kind of invading, going up on the north side, this, that, he froze,
Mm,
and you could tell that he was hurting. Yeah, tears started coming down, you know. And my dad is a very strong individual, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I had to pause it, but he wanted me to continue.
mm,
So I think it just brought out something that was just bottled up in him that he just wanted to kind of get out. And I've got these all saved on a YouTube
yep.
kind of
Yep.
private
Mm-hmm.
channel that uh, I hope it's not for a very long time, but um, those are just kind of archived
Right.
for a long time later on. And
Right.
I had to put it in my will,
Yeah.
kind of secretively in there
Yeah.
to make sure that we don't tap into that early.
Right.
But it it was very respectful and very honorable
Right.
to kind of hear him tell his story, knowing that the grandkids one day will have that.
Mm,
So, um, and yeah, we talked about that too. Like,
right.
why am I not doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for other people in the
Mm-hmm.
family, like, my wife or even myself, or so they can kind of have something if they want it. You know, um, I wish I had that.
Right.
For past relatives and no longer here. So, I think, and maybe that's what a lot of people are doing with podcasts.
Right.
Or different channels. They do that for that, and I think that's smart and healthy.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and I'll tell you that that is the reason why I have a breadcrumb here for wherever
Mhm.
it goes down the road, wherever
Mhm.
this gets left off and picked up by who. It is we're in our journey in the woods, and when they cross this one, they'll know that this is
Yeah.
how it was.
Well, and I think that's great for your kids.
Yeah.
You know, and you son's 10. Is that what you're saying?
Daughter, daughter, daughter.
Oh,
So
oh,
10,
sorry.
7, and
Oh
1.
my
Yep, 10,
gosh.
7, and 1. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just doing math. Teenage years, kind of
It's all coming.
evolving,
Yep.
but it's beautiful though. It really is. It's darn well worth it. You know, my wife was like, "Yeah," I guess, man, I got gray hair. As soon as these kids start hitting, teenage status, and I think that's the thing too, is you start to look at kids, majority kids,
Right.
they start to get their identity a little bit, 12, 13 years old, and then they want to hang out with their friends more. And then next thing you know, well, I want to hang out with you, but
Right.
they have that identity. So
Right.
you got to capture them younger, but they'll come back. They will.
Right.
They'll come back, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is when they come back.
What I'm trying to do right now is pour into like my 10-year-old who's starting to build herself, and
Hmm.
so with within her praise and her belief within herself, but more of like her status, so that way she continues to feel like she's elevating
Yeah.
through with time. And
Have you ever done a podcast with her?
I've recorded them messing around, and they've run
Okay.
their own like kind of show, but I think
Yeah.
she's ready to talk. Like I wouldn't, and thank you. I will receive that as a
Yeah.
challenge to get after it, because at the end of the day, when we go back to what I'm also showing them how to do something for themselves too. Like
Mhm.
if I'm not only am I going to leave breadcrumbs, I'm also
Yeah.
teaching along the way. And if this is something they're interested in, then they'll have the evidence and experience of like, hey, my dad did it, but then also this is how you do it because I've learned from my dad. Like those are the best when you get to say, I learned this from so and so in my life.
Yeah, and I think it's powerful.
What else do I teach?
Yeah.
Like, I
Well,
don't know,
that's
teach them
that's
about
leaving a legacy
mortgages.
right there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, legacies. A lot of people look at legacy as leaving a bunch of money or this, that, the other, and that's like no. You can teach them the skill sets of different things, knowing that they're going to be good.
Yeah.
And strive, and they have the not only the ability but the character
Right.
to love on each other and,
Right.
and other people. For their differences.
Right.
So I'm very proud of my girls for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. From one dad to another.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Wilson, man, I hope that something was extracted here today for you. I know that I work on being as present as possible and pull out what I can as I see it and just let the rest of the conversation take itself. But I know that every time I sit with you, I get re-inspired to do more. And I know the last time we talked about the YouTube channel, I heard about it again today. This time I talked about pushing just putting my kids on here as well
Yeah.
and teaching them the things that I know, not that just I've done it, but putting it in reach for them so that they can go do something too with
Yeah.
their time and in their life and continuing to leave that legacy because I think that that's what's important.
Yeah. Indeed.
Well, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you. Had
Yeah,
a
I
good
appreciate you,
time,
dude.
dude. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you as well.
Okay.
Indeed. Thank you.